everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the A Dime Back Retrocast. I am Tyler. Tonight we have Megan Bard.
Hello.
And Russ Steinberg.
Hello.
And Kevin Meacham.
Hello.
And Peter Bard.
Yeah.
Tonight we are watching UConn versus Missouri in the Elite Eight of the 2009 tournament in 3, 2, 1. All right, apparently we missed the first 4 points of the game.
We love those CBS games.
Meach, why are we watching this game?
Now it's 14. So we are watching this because it is my opinion, as a objective, neutral observer, that the 2008-2009 UConn basketball team is no worse than like our second best team ever.
I mean, you're wrong, but that's cute.
Yeah.
As I said, neutral, unbiased observer. I graduated like a month after this game. This team ruled. I love this team so hard. And this is probably their crowning achievement, getting to the Final Four with a team that was super talented but had basically choked away 3 straight years of postseason games.
Whoa, spoiler
this game
alert, they win this game?
This is like Yankees classics. We will never watch a UConn loss.
100%.
Here's
There's only
my
one.
thing.
There's one UConn loss I might throw in the hopper. Actually, there's one.
No, we're not watching the Kansas game.
We might watch that.
I
game.
tried
We're not
watching that
watching
game. It sucks.
No.
The first 5 minutes are fun.
First half is fun, but yeah.
I want to go back to something Meach just said, because I think that this team gets called one of the most talented UConn teams ever a lot, and I don't really think it was. I think you had a lot of depth, like high-level talented depth, but there weren't like those overwhelmingly great players on this team like we've had on the best UConn teams ever.
Like Danielle Marshall.
I think that's fair. I think maybe most talented is a stretch, but the chemistry on this team and the way these pieces fit together was about as good as any other team we've ever had.
It's an incredibly well-constructed team.
Yeah. Would have been more well-constructed if its shooting guard hadn't gotten hurt.
Yeah, or if any of the remaining players could shoot.
That's right, Russ. My original first choice for a game from this season to watch was, well, I don't want to spoil it if we ever do it, but is the Providence home game from January, like a week and a half before Dyson gets hurt, because that is, outside of any national championship game, that's my favorite UConn game of all time. Just an absolute obliteration of like a not terrible Providence team, but I'm sure we'll get to that at some point in the next year and a half while we're quarantined.
Right.
Not terrible is high praise about Providence.
Every Providence.
There we go.
I love Jeff Adrian.
But I feel like this team had a lot of like Jeff Adrian level players, like really good players, but not quite like, they didn't have like a Richard Hamilton level player or a Ben Gordon level player.
Craig Austrie. Love Craig Austrie.
Who doesn't love Craig
We all
Austrie?
do.
We all
Universally
love Craig
beloved.
Austrie. No one has ever said a bad thing about him.
I feel
Starting shit
obligated to
already.
not trash the guy publicly anymore, because I'm sure he's a perfectly nice guy, and he wasn't that bad. But he drove me crazy when he played because he was so much worse than Marcus Williams. And he didn't play like he knew that.
He was also a victim a little bit of, like, even at this point in the year, like, I feel like we all kind of knew Kemba should be playing way more. And it always felt like Austrie was getting some of Kemba's minutes, which just made me bitter towards Austrie.
That was a big thing in the early days of the UConn blog, which I was writing for at the time. It's defunct now. I don't think it exists. But
is that like a dark back?
Yes, kind of.
There are no
more
UConn blogs.
and this
There
is
have
the
never
only-
been UConn blogs.
We should
This is
launch
the
the
only
first
UConn
UConn blog.
Off of the floor, and that's unusual for the beat.
But I remember writing in January and February that Kemba needed to be starting, and then Dyson got hurt, so it took care of itself. But I mean, that was definitely a thing where Austrie was like the starter, and the team was measurably worse when he was on the court compared to Kemba.
One might say you discovered Kemba Walker.
I was the only person who said that he was good, and I stand by that.
You and Aaron Torres.
Got our first Gavin Edwards sighting.
Oh boy.
It's a different game when they score because then
on,
they
buddy.
can set up their pressure. Murray Carroll.
Can we all
on.
take a moment
Jesus.
to recognize the shorts that these teams are
I was
wearing?
literally just gonna say that, Russ. The
Yeah.
short situation, especially because we just watched the 93-94 game, which had like very normal shorts, and these shorts are ridiculous.
It's like a good solid 12, 13 years of guys wearing huge shorts.
Like when we
I-
watched the game that doesn't exist, the 2000 game, those shorts were ludicrous.
Yeah, that
They
was
were
crazy.
bigger than these.
I feel like mid-90s, like maybe 93 to 95, 96 was like the golden age of short slang.
I completely agree, Rax. I was actually thinking that when I was, because the uniforms from the last game or the last year of those starter Connecticut ones, and those are my favorite. And like, the shorts were completely normal looking. Like, I feel like the short size is like a real pendulum swing. I think right now we're kind of in we're getting smaller shorts.
Right.
And
But I
you
don't
know,
think we're ever going to go back to like the 80s, like
short
when
shorts.
they were, right.
Definitely not.
I remember
like
that's what
getting-
we had for youth soccer as a kid. Is everybody played in short shorts, and it was so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I feel like we're not like people use a lot of like like all the Under Armour stuff, like wicking, blah blah blah. So people are used to wearing more like compact clothes, tight fitting. But the length of the shorts is still not. It's not super short.
Remember the UConn jerseys in like 2016 when they had those really grotesque like shoulder cuts in the jerseys?
Yeah, they looked like girls'
Yeah.
tank tops. They were very bizarre.
09 UConn sucks. Look at this.
Those Mizzou jerseys are hideous.
The color of that uniform looks like
It's like
baby
mustard
puke.
yellow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Baby
It's like
puke yellow.
asparagus piss.
It's disgusting.
There's no one in that arena.
There's
Like
like
Anderson.
20,000 people.
Right, there's 25,000, but like it's in the corner of the end zone. So when
Right.
they pan out, you see like the other.
This was like
'Cause
the
it's at
test run
the-
for the Final Four.
Where
yeah,
is this?
It's at the Phoenix. It's at the
Oh.
Cardinal Stadium.
Yeah.
So it's
And
just
they had the
corner.
Final Four there when North Carolina beat Gonzaga.
My hot take is that playing basketball games in football stadiums is really stupid.
It
I
is.
hate it.
That's right. They should only be played in baseball stadiums.
Yeah, UConn should get a basketball game at Yankee Stadium.
The important thing to remember is that all Final Fours should be at Madison Square Garden.
I agree.
Oh, that was dirty.
There it
Freshman
is.
Kemba Walker looks exactly like Kemba Walker.
Yeah,
But I
was
actually,
amazing.
looks exactly like
I just
30-year-old
did a-
Kemba Walker.
Yeah.
I just did a rewatch of the 2014 Elite Eight at Madison Square Garden, and like, first of all, awesome game, but like, man, that place was rocking. Like, you could feel the energy, and like when you
Yeah.
play in these huge cavernous buildings, like all of the energy just sort of evaporates. You just really lose. I feel like you really lose something when you play in these huge spaces.
So my only experience with that was the 2014 Final Four, and it felt like there were pockets of the stadium that were great when there were like sections of fans of the same team close together. But once you stepped out of that, you couldn't feel it. Like at
Yeah.
MSG during the Sweet 16 Elite Eight, even, I was up with Peter on the bridge, and even though we weren't like directly in a cheering section, you felt the energy of the building through both games. And you
Yeah.
just don't get that in a football stadium.
I had a really hard time not cheering at that game,
Oh, I did too.
and I definitely like let a couple out a couple of times.
So I wanted to get down onto the court for the very end, so I missed maybe the last minute. I was in that elevator by myself, and I acted like a crazy person by myself in that elevator.
So Kemba's pretty good. We should talk a little bit about Kemba here because he had been kind of solid, but I don't think he had like a breakout game.
This was that
to this
game.
point.
I was very critical of him for a long time because he always would go too deep into the defense when he drove and then get a shot blocked or like suddenly realize, oh, no, there's nothing I can do. And then he started doing that pull-up jumper and became the best player in college basketball. But like I remember being very critical of him a lot, like this year, and especially the early part of his sophomore year.
Didn't I read somewhere that AJ Price taught him the step back?
They need to go inside to Adrian, let him post up.
I believe it.
Did I make that up? I don't feel like I made that up. And then he taught it to Baz.
You could make it up. Who would know?
Baz has definitely always known how to do a step back. I'm sure he's been doing old man moves since he was a child.
Question: Where would Gavin Edwards rank among UConn front court players of the last 5 years?
He'd be probably top 3 or 4.
I think he
Last
would have
5
started any of the last 5 years.
I mean, he started the next year.
Well, yeah,
Right.
it was either him or Oriaki.
And he was pretty good.
He was fine.
Was he like 10 and 6 with
I mean, I feel
2.5
like
blocks?
he's not better than Sean Miller. I would put him below Miller for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
he better
I
than
forgot
Bryma?
Miller existed, but yeah.
Probably below Bryma, yeah.
I'm not necessarily sure. Well, let's take a look.
Change in defense. They went to that matchup zone that really extends. You can get some good things in the middle of that zone. Justin Safford in
On KenPom, this entire roster has an O rating over 100.
That's wild.
It's a really good team. Like, legit. I mean, this team was 24-1 before, or right after Dyson got here. Like,
Ooh.
pass, but it goes to Tiller. Went by Ramsey, and Tiller was
Okay, but watching, can you really say that after the game you just watched with the Yell, Sheffer, Allen, like that? Can you really still say that? Like really?
Safford of Missouri.
yeah, because Ray Allen wasn't Ray Allen yet on that night.
But I mean, that team was like
He already looked like a superstar. Like
That
the
team
moves
was-
he made.
But he looked like a superstar the way Kemba looks like a superstar. Like, he's not there yet, but you can tell he's good as hell.
I think Ray had a unique way about him. Like he always, and I was started to talk about this lesson, but he always moved with such precision. Like he looked so developed. Even as soon as he got there, like the way he moved, he looked like a polished professional.
He came preloaded with that psychopath gene.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
He's 11 for 15 at the
Yeah, he's definitely an insane person.
Yeah.
Like you can't be what he is and be sane.
that story about how he would practice that shot that he hit when he played for Miami, that, you know, getting up off the floor, running backwards, planting your feet in that little scrap of space, and that he practiced it over and over, and people were like, why are you doing that? And then it turns out that was why, so that
It won him a ring.
so you could win a ring when you need to make that exact shot without looking at the floor.
Real quick. So as a senior, Gavin Edwards played 30 minutes a game, only started 5 games.
Huh.
Scored 10.6 points, 6.5 rebounds, 2 blocks, only 1.8 turnovers.
What would have been the starting lineup on that?
I guess they were starting Majuk and Oriaki, maybe?
Majuk came in December, so the first 8 or 9 games. Did they do Oriaki and Stanley? Was that the front court?
I don't remember.
Wasn't Majuk's first game against UCF
It was.
the early conflict?
A game that we did not look very good in.
Yeah, no, I was there. It was terrible.
Maybe a Kwandu start.
I love this team.
Let's take a look here.
Kwandu
play
did start
machine.
12.
Kwandu started 12, Majuk started 22, Oriaki started 29, and Edwards, definitely the best big and the one who played the most, started 5.
Birth name, surname, Manka.
Sometimes Calhoun just
Man,
did
remember
weird shit.
Darius Smith.
No.
Ooh, yes.
He was a top 100 recruit,
I'm now the man in my family.
and he could not play.
He
There were a
came
lot
in
of
with
weird.
Trice, didn't he?
Yeah. There were a lot of weird misses by Calhoun in this era.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that year, because we talked about this, that in a lot of ways, I think that class was the biggest bust class, even more so than the top 5. Because the class that came in 2009, 2010 was Oriaki was the only guy who really produced it all. Then Coombs McDaniel, Majuk, Darius Smith, and Jamal Trice. And 4 of those guys were top 100 guys.
Scotty Harrelson's on this 09 team, right?
Yep, sure is.
He fucking sucked.
It took him like 5 overtimes to get it to that game.
I don't think Mandeldove ever got into the 602 game. Great pass.
That's Coach Dove to you.
Shout out, Dove.
Love you, man. Shout out to Dove.
I sent him a Dimeback sticker once.
Nice.
We were talking a few minutes ago when Gavin Edwards fell hilariously for an up fake, and I just want to revisit it at some point because that was absolutely hilarious.
I feel like we're going to lose this game.
You think?
This was like a weird matchup because Missouri's running that like 40 minutes of hell kind of full court pressure the entire game. And I think that's one of the reasons why Kemba goes off, but it does make this kind of an agonizing watch, or it did at the time at least.
Do you think Joe Exotic was rooting for the Tigers?
Look at that mascot. Fucking Tony the Tiger looking Missouri Tiger.
That's really good defense. That's too long of a pass to try to make into the post against this Missouri team. 10-3 run for the
A fun thing about this game is I was watching it at my friend Jackie's house, and I was so stressed, and I was trying not to drink too much because I had a date that night, which ended up being my first date with my wife. I probably drank a little too much before that date. It was stressful.
Maybe you drank the right amount, because guess what?
Worked, yeah.
She married you. Maybe if you weren't a little drunk, she would have gotten to know your real personality sooner.
You know, it was bad too. We were at this bar, and the date was fine. But then the game right after this was Villanova Pitt,
Villanova,
which had an insane ending. So then, like, there was a brief period of our date where I was just hyper distracted because I was watching Pitt Nova on the TV in the bar.
I remember that game very well.
But again,
I was very afraid that Pitt was going to go to the Final Four.
And then what happened?
That's right. That was the year. Yes.
That was Scotty Reynolds.
Yep. I think that was the day after this game.
No, it was right after this game. It was the second game of the doubleheader.
That was a block.
Which,
I
by the
want to
way,
see
it's weird
Russ
that the
wearing
West
the beach
Regional
shorts.
had the first game.
That's definitely not a charge.
Where you want to see me wear?
The beach shorts.
Oh. Yeah, those would be pants.
By UConn, and that translates into missed opportunities. That was a big call in Hashim Thabit drawing that charge on Leo Lyons. That would have been Thabit's second foul. And I think Mike Anderson and his team had to figure they had the advantage, putting the ball on the floor on the perimeter against Thabit. Just under 8 minutes to go, opening half here in Glendale, Arizona. Top seed Connecticut with the lead, 26-22. And a steal by Lyons. Long pass to Carroll. Thabit.
Remember getting 1 seed?
Yeah, and then at some point we realized, yeah, why bother?
Yeah.
Just take the 7 seed and go win.
Against Thabit, and Thabit very intelligently jumped backwards.
Fun fact about this regional is that Missouri beat one of the last, might have been the last Calipari Memphis team in the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
It was the year after Derrick Rose, I guess. But
Was
Good
Memphis
example
the
that,
2 seed?
yes, they had Tyreek Evans, Dozier. That's all the names I remember.
Fair enough.
I think it's been too much bounce.
Why did Arkansas fire Anderson?
Missouri's at their best in their half court. That ball's not hitting the floor. And right now,
Were they bad?
the ball, and that's not going to beat Connecticut.
I mean, they
Seems
missed
a
the
fair
tournament
guess.
that year, but they'd gone to 3 of the prior 4.
Yeah.
I'm starting to have flashbacks, and I feel like UConn being borderline unable to inbound the ball on any single possession is probably why I was drinking a lot.
I think Arkansas might be one of those fan bases that has disproportional expectations compared to what they are as a program.
Like Indiana.
I just feel like, and the guy was a longtime assistant, you know, he gets the head coaching job. He's the 62 and change percent win percentage over 8 years. You know, they were at the point where in his last 5 years they went to 3 tournaments. Like, I don't know, maybe they think they'll really be like really good because it's Musselman's there now, right?
Right.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, if they thought they were going to get Musselman, I'd make that trade.
It's just
Anderson.
tough to do that to a guy because Anderson's a good coach.
He's good, but he'd been there a decade, and if you don't feel like you're like they were never really a top SEC team. They had a couple. They had like 1 year they were 13-5, I guess, in the league. 1 year 12-6, but I mean, Arkansas does have a national championship, like in living memory.
Yeah.
Not Russ's living memory.
In my life, though.
UConn's only got 2 in Russ's living memory.
That is not true. The women have a lot more than that.
Russ was statistically dead in 2011.
Travel.
Yeah, Arkansas was the second best team in the SEC in 2015, the year that they were definitely like a mile behind Kentucky.
That was the 40.
I remember that.
38-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that lost from the Final Four.
He's got to keep that thing high. It's just difficult to do when you want to gather and go back up. Lyons gets the beat in the air.
Jesus Christ.
I'm mad. Get the ball in,
We are
Jesus
gonna lose
fucking
this game.
Christ.
This team sucks.
I mean,
God.
like this press was legit for Missouri. Like this was a good Missouri team.
This is the thing, is because he had been an assistant under Nolan Richardson, who won a national championship in Arkansas, and they used to play like this.
Mm-hmm.
Missouri finished 17th in adjusted defense, 13th in adjusted offense. UConn was
what was
third in adjusted D.
Hell yeah.
These
And
are my least favorite eras of UConn uniforms. They're kind of boring.
Yeah, I feel like they haven't aged well. All the weird
No.
piping is
Yeah.
a little off. And I
And,
always
like, the
felt like
neck
the
is very
UConn was
high.
too high on the chest.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of this. I wonder
Such a dumb
which
setup.
throwbacks we're gonna get, because rumor.
Never gonna get
Jim
it.
Calhoun has been mad at his team
Dude.
for
You're gonna give us some weird
Let's
gray
not
shit
basketball
again.
Oh god, I'm so sick of the gray uniforms. I don't want to see another gray uniform.
very, very smart to use
I want
Grace.
Unis to say Connecticut again.
keep this team off balance. Excellent job by Missouri.
I had a dream last night that basketball was back and that they were playing at Gamble and the Big East logo was on the court, and it was that was the extent of the dream, and it was beautiful.
Listen, bring back Goofy John, put the Big East logo on the floor, it'll be great.
Works his way
So
underneath.
strong.
Jesus.
There you
He's the
go.
strongest guy in UConn history, I think.
Could you imagine Josh Carlton catching that and finishing?
No.
He would have blocked himself on the rim, probably. I love Jeff Adrian. Like, I love everyone on this team, but Jeff Adrian, like, for as unique as the beat was, Adrian is almost as unique in UConn history because he's a strong motherfucker and he's tough as hell, and he can also shoot a 15-footer. Like, how many guys have we had that could do that?
Are attacking, and it's UConn that's back on its heels.
Pretty-
I mean, Donnie Marshall.
Donnie Marshall and Kevin Freeman jump into my head, but they're not perfect
Yeah.
comps.
Freeman didn't take a lot of 15-footers.
Well, he tried to.
Yeah, I
his
mean,
last year.
Marshall's.
62 points in the 3 games of the tournament coming in. Carroll can't connect. Gavin
Adrian added that 15-footer in the summer before this season, I think.
right-hand of Damari Carroll.
He didn't have it as a freshman.
No, definitely not.
Yes, Price about having the pressure of the point guard against this tenacious Missouri defense. He said, "That's why."
I feel like he made a few inexplicable ones in that 06 tournament, though.
I like the ball in my hands.
He played great against the team that shall not be named.
Russ's pick for the Retrocast.
So that will not be my pick. Mine will be a win over East Carolina in the Ollie years.
Nope.
Russ is going to pick the Chaminade win in 2017.
Oh, God.
I actually would watch that game.
You know what game was actually kind of fun, though? Was
The Oklahoma State loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't Jalen
I
have like 30?
Jalen had a quadruple-double, I think, with 40 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 14 turnovers.
We're doing a way worse job of talking about the game this time.
Yeah, we really are. We haven't even remembered some guys yet. Is it because we don't remember any of these guys?
I think part of it's because I didn't really know the guys on Missouri. I'm going to look at their roster.
Tim English was on it.
They had Damari Carroll.
Leo Lyon.
And again, Hasheem Thabit on the bench.
Was
Kim
Phil
English.
Pressey later? He was later.
That was pretty.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I love him.
Again, it's Connecticut right at the iron to score.
Yeah, there was definitely a moment like 5 minutes ago when you realized like Mizzou's defense was just kind of killing them, and they just changed the game plan to make Kemba have the ball at all times.
I feel like that was
Until
something
right
I
now
kind
when
of took for
Adrian
granted with
just walked
Calhoun,
away.
was his ability to make adjustments. Like, during
It's
the
like
Alley
depressing us.
era,
Okay,
there
just
was
give the
always
ball to
like,
Kemba.
there was one plan, and if it didn't work, like, well, that was the plan. But like with Calhoun, you knew he had like a plan A, and then they were going to do this, and then when they do that, I'm going to do this, and that's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
And the alley plans are mostly like, believe harder,
ISO every possession.
be a mountain, and let the river run under you.
I actually was just watching the Coppin State game
The Brian
today.
one?
Yeah. And they were talking about how Ollie doesn't want his guys to think as much and to start believing in each other more. Like, that's some real shit that they actually said, based on shit he had actually said.
Yeah.
Coming up on AT&T.
Yeah. That's not great. God, look at little baby Kemba.
Michigan State and Kansas, the Spartans just have so much depth. There's no one player. Kalen Lucas,
The shorts are ludicrous.
but no one player you
With
can
the
really
socks,
count
with the
on.
high socks.
They're hitting his socks when he bangs the table.
Yeah. He's got like 3 inches of skin showing between short and socks.
What a ridiculous run of point guards we had. Because you think it went from Marcus to Price to Kemba to Shabazz, and then I guess like a year of Boat.
To Jalen.
Well,
For, you know, as
first,
imperfect a player as he was.
To Sam
To
Cassell
Sterling
Jr.
Gaines.
Sterling, we did have a year of Sterling. Let's not forget.
Cassell Jr.
then Jalen.
To Bunky's friend.
Taylor did a nice job inside the rim, and that's really what
I
he
miss
was getting
Bunky.
his contact. He went right into it.
Bunky's
Jalen
Instagram was
Gaffney.
a little terrifying.
Stanley Robinson.
I
I've
unfollowed
been-
him because it was getting
a little
to
much.
be a little much.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen it in a long time, actually.
It's a little much.
Oh, God.
When you go straight up, you're supposed to
The
have
dancing's fun.
space
It's just the rest of it.
all the way to the ceiling.
It's literally all of the other content.
Gets a little much. Robinson takes a seat with two
God, this
fouls.
color. Who was like, this is the color we're going to make these uniforms, guys? Look at this color palette. Isn't it sexy?
Looking for his
We call those moonshine goggles.
rims out.
Because it's Missouri.
Oh, is that what they drink there? I don't know. Who would ever go to
I'm
Missouri?
not going to learn anything about Missouri just so I can insult them.
Somewhere in the middle there. I can't be bothered.
Actually, I know. Remember Nick Faubert?
Oh,
So his family lives in Missouri now,
oh.
and he told me that his dad became super racist.
Oh.
Shout out.
Classic
Nick.
Missouri.
He does not listen to this podcast. Guaranteed.
I guarantee that Roland Faubert
What a
and Nick
boy.
Faubert do not listen to this podcast.
Because they don't have internet in Missouri.
That's exactly
I
right.
can't imagine they're listening to UConn sports. I wouldn't even call this commentary.
I don't know what this
Fan
is.
fiction.
We're still not sure there's an audience for this.
It's absolute nonsense. Really,
There's
this
at
is just
least-
for our own benefit. We're all in
There's at least
quarantine.
5 people
For us.
who are.
We can't leave our homes. We can't do
Our audience
anything.
is Brian Coughlin,
We were going to
All
do this
this
anyway.
basketball.
Jerry Burris.
Just don't foul the way they're
just miss sports, guys. I miss them.
And Bard Mom sometimes.
Yeah.
Though I
By
don't
the
think
way,
she listens to podcasts.
I'm going to shout out Jerry because Tetramer, who does our theme song that we put on the top of this Retrocast too, I really want them to record like a retro version of that song just so
Me
we can use it
too.
on
Wow,
this.
wow, 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 wow,
Jerry,
wow,
give us
wow,
the
wow,
synth.
wow, wow, wow.
Give us the synth anthem.
So they're going to get a shout out now in hopes that we can butter them up.
Jerry
Love
and
you.
Mark. And Alex,
Please.
I think it's
obviously.
bandcamp.com/Tetramer. Does that sound right? Go get the
Say
record.
for sure.
I designed
They're
the
very
art.
interesting. They're like, I don't
Queens
even
of
know what I
Stone
would compare.
Age-ish.
Yeah, I would. Queens of Stone Age
Yeah.
is definitely like the closest.
Yeah. Heavily influenced by.
Yeah, I know Alex in particular fucking loves Queens of the Stone Age.
I think they all do.
Yeah. Pretty clearly.
Another
Pretty
band
clearly.
I'm supposed to like that I never liked. Oh, look at holy shit! Combo.
Oh my god!
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. He
Oh,
looks pretty
God.
legit.
Kemba's good. Kemba
They
is
should have
good.
put his number on the wall after this game.
Yeah.
The only bad thing is that he sucked in the Final Four. And if we had had, let's say a backup guard who could have carried some of the load, probably would have won that game.
Craig Austrie, he played.
I think more of like a backup
Unfortunately.
shooting guard.
How do you remember anything
Time out,
about
Beverly?
that Michigan State game? Like,
I blacked it out. I don't remember.
I watched it when it was on, and I have not.
I did not get to
watch.
watch that game when it was on because my then girlfriend made me go to a performance of Psycho Beach Party at, is it Pace University? Is that the one in like somewhere in Connecticut with like
Are you a
400
joke?
students? I kid you not.
What?
I missed the Final Four game.
What the?
Well, I was
Turns out.
actually there. Jesus.
All right.
I recall doing a lot of drinking before the game, and then I was poor at the time, so I didn't have money to buy drinks during the game.
I see.
So,
Yep.
so unfortunately, the last like 6 minutes or so is in my memory, as was walking back from Ford Field to our hotel in the middle of recession Detroit.
Yeah, that was not a good choice for a Final Four city.
It was stimulus.
No. There was not a lot. The people were stimulated. Everyone
Where
was
does
wearing
Michigan
Did you
State-
remediate a brownstone on your way back to the hotel? That would have helped a lot.
Where does Michigan State in Detroit rank among our NCAA tournament location screw jobs?
Top two.
It has to be
Yeah.
number one. Like I know UNC in Greensboro, but it's a
I was
Final
gonna. And
Four.
UNC Greensboro, I think, actually was worse, just because it was.
Yeah.
It literally ended up being a home game for UNC.
But
Or
but it was
UCLA and
7
Oakland?
Yeah, that was a bad one
or
too.
Texas and San Antonio. My argument
Now
for
I'm
Michigan
so
State
mad.
would be that it was 75,000 people there, and probably
Yeah.
60,000 were Michigan State.
That was the first
damn
Final
it,
Four
yeah.
And it
where
was a
they did
Final
it that way.
George Mason in Washington, D.C.
Upper
Yeah,
case
but the
tries
only
in
thing
that
is
case.
that with Michigan State in Detroit, there was no other option. Like the
Right.
Final
Right.
Final Four was in Detroit.
Right. Yeah, that's
You
fair.
couldn't have been sent to a different region.
AJ
If
Price is the
Louisville hadn't
weirdest
fucked
player.
that.
Like they were calling that a neutral site, and like, come
They
on.
have to run 3 miles to get to the locker room.
I was convinced the beat was going to hit his head on the top of the tunnel.
That would have been, if it was like a Hot Shots movie, he would have.
9 points, 8 minutes, 4 assists for Kemba.
I feel like Price was a really good player who just nothing ever looked easy. He was not a very smooth player.
Wow, that's a lot of hair still on Billis.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's some hair that he's
he's got the
he's
widow's peak.
coiffed
It's
perfectly to make
really-
it look like some hair.
Crossover.
See, I don't know if I would disagree with the AJ Price thing, because he was very composed with the ball, but he was never flashy. Like, old white guys must have loved AJ Price, or would have.
Especially that year. I feel like the year before he was much more. He was quicker, certainly.
He was
Like,
yeah,
he-
more explosive.
He was much more of a slashing guard. This year he was a jump shooter.
Meech, just tweet AJ Price right now and look what happens to your mentions, and I think you'll find old white guys do not like AJ Price.
5 to 10 minutes of that opening half are in the game to start the second half as Damari.
What is their issue with him? Is it the laptops?
I imagine you'll hear laptops 40 to 50
Right.
times.
It's amazing how the laptops thing has lasted for 14 years.
So
I
annoying.
honestly forget.
Like, you still get it from other fan bases.
Hit it.
That's because other fan bases are full of dumb people who don't know how to have a second joke.
Right. Now, remind me
Anyway,
what
everyone who
Noah
goes to Memphis
Slater
is
does on
stupid.
Twitter.
Knocked down like crazy against Texas A&M, but couldn't hit any of them.
We have never repeated a joke, Russ. So
never once. My dog is snoring so loud right now I can hear her over my headphones. So let me know if you can also hear my dog snoring.
Mike Anderson, his son Mike Anderson Jr. on the bench as senior. And then
She's got a tough life,
Game 2, Missouri,
moving from the
Kansas,
couch to her dog bed,
Alabama, Birmingham.
chewing on rawhide. It's a lot.
100th game. He's looking for a victory and a big one to get Missouri into the Final Four. For
Did
the
you
first
guys
time
see
ever.
the Trevor Donovan tweet about the big thing of McDonald's food for $3,500?
Rather interesting
Yes.
conversations.
oh yeah.
It's 4 double quarter pounders, looks like 20 nuggets, 2 large fries, and 4 sodas. And it says, could you finish this in 90 minutes for $3,500? And I was like, I would do it for free. McDonald's is
If they took-
disgusting, and I love it.
If they took the cheese off of those burgers, I would do it.
Fuck
God
up, you
damn it.
fucking maniac.
Good movement away from the ball. Look at the action by the Missouri offense.
God, I want to push you into a mud puddle.
It's
my favorite band.
Inside the line is short.
Puddle of mud.
Tied there. Still a big one. And will go to the line as he draws the
Puddle of
foul
mud, do our
against
theme
Thabit.
song.
Was that Thabit? Robinson and Thabit were there.
I don't know if they would.
No, it goes
Wait,
to
no, I'm
Austin.
mixing them up in jars of clay.
Right there.
I always do that. I always forget
Classic mistake.
Which one's the Jesus band?
It's a loose ball. I mean, he is going to get it.
I mean, if you
And
believe hard
Puddle of
enough.
Mud. Puddle of Mud is that the She Fucking Hates Me band?
Yep.
Man, they are terrible.
They had one other fine song.
Truly impressive.
What was it?
Walker with that
Blurry?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
I'll put that
You
in the
would know it
Slack.
if you
You'll
heard
remember
it.
it. Yeah.
Imagine listening to Puddle of
Also,
Mud.
if I played a song that was by Buck Cherry and told you it was by Puddle of Mud, you'd believe it.
No, I remember Crazy Bitch,
Yeah.
and there was another one that was about doing cocaine.
I think it was called
They're all
Cocaine.
about doing cocaine.
When I was in high school, there was one that was very explicitly about cocaine, because there was one about like
Oh, sticks.
a
Come on.
trashy
Oh,
whore
that sticks.
that he was attracted to. That was Crazy Bitch. And then there was, I don't remember what it was called, but it was all about, he was like, I love the cocaine. I love the cocaine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the song is called Cocaine.
This is where they have to be smart. If it's not there to pull it out. Boy, that was a foul.
Where's the foul?
That was,
Come on, Thabit.
God, I love playing volleyball.
You better be a man out on the floor in this game.
I met Buck Cherry once.
Contact that is going without
Really?
how did that go?
on both
Well, I was at a show with the Bowery.
Talk about a man to be
And
Were
I
they on
was-
cocaine?
I don't know. But I was watching. I don't even remember what show it was. But Buck Cherry was not playing. But I was upstairs at the Bowery at the bar, and like the balcony. There's a guy there wearing like a cowboy hat, and I was like, "Oh hey man, how's it going?" He was like, "I'm in Buck Cherry, and this is the rest of Buck Cherry." And I was like, "All right, cool. I'm gonna go over here now." And I left. I didn't want to hang out with Buck Cherry.
I would have hung out. They might be cool.
I was watching the show.
I gotta say how much I really liked having like an NBA sized lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice knowing you're the strongest and like most physical team on the court. We haven't had that a lot lately.
I like that this team had a defensive strategy that you could boil down into like Jesus Christ.
Oh my God! What do you think they're trying?
Walk.
With that nonsense. That was filthy.
Take advantage of you if you do not.
I like that this team had a defensive strategy that you could boil down into like a sentence, like, and you got the gist of it. Everyone plays tough defense, and then the beat blocks anyone that gets by. Like that's all they did. It was genius.
And when you consistently had good shot blockers, you can do stuff like that.
Remember when we always had the best shot blocker in the
Look at
country?
this.
Look at this.
That's
insane.
absurd.
He honestly is the best finisher, certainly at UConn, I've ever seen. Like, his ability, if he could get it to touch the backboard, it was going in.
Leading scorer for Missouri with the foul is third, so he takes a seat.
The thing about this team is, especially when it got into like the Bryma years, it was like this was such a formula for so long with the Okafor and Thabit years that I feel like they tried to replicate it far beyond its useful lifespan a little bit. It's like it really only worked out well when you had other guys who could rebound when Okafor and Thabit went for blocks. And then in the Bryma years, he always went for blocks, and all it led to was a ton of offensive rebounds.
It also didn't help that Bryma was a bad rebounder, and Okafor and Thabit were outstanding rebounders.
Right.
That's how you end up with Shabazz and like Christian Pytel averaging 6 rebounds a game.
Oh, right.
The ball on the perimeter with Hashim Thabit guarding him. All he has to do is put a little shot block and drive, or shot fake and drive, and he can go right around him. Lions 2 for 2 from the line, looks for his 9th point. You can watch exclusive video of Amen Corner Live plus 15
Compared to like the 94 game we just watched where it was all rebounds and fast as hell outlet passes.
Yeah. And masters.com. Lions hits one.
I'm not sure which one I prefer more.
And it's a 6.
I'm bummed that Calhoun only won one title with a fast break team. Like, I wish one of those mid-90s teams had won it.
Thanks for nothing, Ray.
And yell.
Hit it.
I mean, they were still fun as hell teams to watch.
Got it.
Oh my God.
It must rule to be that tall.
I feel like that's too much. He didn't ever look happy about it.
See, that's what made me very frustrated.
Yeah, we're gonna lose this game.
Whoa. Oh.
I remember having to listen to this game on the radio.
Oh my God.
I gotta say, I spent a lot of 3 years really mad at Thabit.
I think the beat now is remembered as being so much better than he was.
I think it's,
Well, the numbers are incredible. I mean,
Right.
he had games where he would just completely demolish people.
Yeah. Providence being
It did also take him a couple years to get there.
Yeah, he wasn't a superstar until his junior year.
Yeah.
right. He was
But
a force
I
of nature who did a couple of things at an elite level from day one, and he got to serviceable as an offensive player.
And he turned out to be an incredibly good rebounder. I mean, he went from an okay rebounder to a good rebounder to a really exceptional rebounder this junior year. He never looked like an exceptional rebounder because he still would get bodied by like DeJuan Blair.
Oh yeah.
What he pulled out, like 11 a game that year? Like
Something like that.
That's a lot of rebounds. You can't just do that by accident.
I think UConn at times on their heels a little bit.
It was top 100 in rebound, offensive and defensive rebounding percentage in 2009, 58th offensive, 84th defensive. Pretty good.
Remember when DeJuan Blair threw him to the ground?
Yeah, DeJuan Blair should be arrested.
Yeah, he should have been arrested for that.
And I will perform a citizen's arrest on him if I have to.
I would like to see that.
I feel like we've barely seen Stanley Robinson in this game.
Hashim
the best
Thabit was
player you-
third in the NCAA in win shares in 2009.
It was Kim English, 3 on the shot clock.
This
And
is not
number
a
one in
six game.
defensive win shares.
Ramsey is a very skilled player, and you can see just coming over from
Mitchell,
the
were
weak
you at
side,
this
you gotta
game?
get guards in there to block.
I was not. Uppercase was. I did not travel to any of the tournament games.
Until the Final Four.
Until the Final Four.
Price does.
All on the ground, big boy.
The beat was knocked out, but
Yeah,
Where were they sent the first two rounds?
I believe it's
Philly.
going to be against Safford,
That's right.
Missouri.
They blew out Chattanooga and blew out
And A&M.
Long wait before
I really
very
want to watch
fun
that
Mitchell gave
game
the
again.
point,
That
and
was a
it's
really
Thabit
fun game.
picking up his third, joining Craig Austria
After
with 3
watching
fouls.
45 minutes of this, I'm ready to put it on right now.
Great one by Safford. And it looked like that Thabit hurt himself a little bit.
The good part about this game is when UConn goes to the Final Four.
Blocking out. Thabeet knocks the ball away.
Yeah,
Spoiler.
and all the
Where's
Kemba
the
parts.
foul
Where
there?
the foul was if it wasn't on the reach-in. That was just two
Aha.
guys going after the ball.
That's right, Jay Billis.
Safford is 6'8", a sophomore.
That's a terrible
from
call.
Bloomington, Illinois, 6'8", 230, and growing, they say.
And my last two games that I attended in person as a student were the 6 overtime game and Michigan State. So
Mitchell, we were
2011.
at a lot of the same games before we knew each other.
we were
I
meant
noticed
to
that
be
when you,
friends, I would say.
yeah,
Acrobatic. Makes the play at the defensive end and comes back wheeling and dealing. Well, he is very mobile and a very skilled left-hander, just blowing by Gavin Edwards, and they've been trying to drive Edwards. That was clearly
Kemba
part
could
of
do
the
that.
plan whenever Edwards came into the game, and Edwards going to have to come out. But Safford showing that high skill level, and he can get hot from the perimeter. Not a guy that
the high
shoots a lot
skill
of
level
threes,
from the
but
guy who averages 3 a game.
shot like 67% from three-point range on the season.
He looks like a video game creative player.
Yeah,
He looks like a giraffe.
yeah, that goatee should not exist in real life.
But good effort by Safford to knock it away from the Connecticut rebounder. Missouri playing with more energy right now. They have got UConn back on their heels, and UConn needs to come out with a little bit more energy to match the intensity.
We need more energy.
Missouri's been bringing. English takes it to the iron.
Mike Anderson's lead assistant looks like Mike Anderson at a slightly older age.
Now Ramsey got his hands
Are you
on
gonna triple team
it. It's a
Kemba?
one-point game again.
Yeah, all right, that worked.
Oof. All right, yeah, worked that time.
That's the Missouri pressure starting to
2009 Tyler's taking another drink.
Out of the game. All of a sudden, no offensive rebounds in the first half to speak of, and nobody lays a body on Keith Ramsey. Just an athletic play.
I was in a very worried Hilltop apartment watching this game. This was a struggle.
And Denman, who hit that 65-footer, couldn't get it to drop.
I was in Connecticut for this game.
UConn 1 for 11 field goal shooting this half, and he's way off.
Yikes.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, God.
Maybe that's why you retained hatred for Greg Austria for 20 years.
There was nothing going to the rim, and to take a shot like that was not a very smart play by a usually
Classic
very
Calhoun.
smart senior.
Just straight to the bench.
You know, in my mind, Craig Austria was a knockdown three-point shooter, but he was not a knockdown three-point shooter. At least not this season.
He wasn't
31
particularly
point
good
game.
at anything.
Missouri
He was very competent. He's like a comfy sweater.
early, 11 again, middle of the first half. They pulled within one on several occasions, but have never had their
I would very much like Craig Austria on the current UConn teams.
Patrick or Keith Ramsey.
He would be a good fifth guard for this team.
UConn's losing.
Ramsey off the
So yeah, at this point, I mean, everyone who is in this room understands what it was like at the time, but we were coming off of George Mason in our last real tournament trip, and then losing 4 straight years in the Big East tournament first game, losing to San Diego the year prior, and it just felt like it was never going to happen for this team. And it looked like they were about to choke away. I think they were up 12 at some point in the first half here.
That little ball
So this is a nervous moment.
We finally got a Stanley sighting.
The defense was scrambling. You had to help up with Gavin Edwards. When Missouri's got the pace they want. This is Missouri's kind of game.
8
UConn
points.
has got to wrestle the tempo back if they want a trip to Detroit.
Foul was on Tiller, his third. Robinson with his 9th point of the game ties it up. Dick, before this game, we talked about decisions and decisions.
Can't wait to watch like a real HD game.
Good decisions against Missouri's pressure.
I'm gonna pick all 2014 games just for video quality.
There wasn't really a superstar type player on this team, but Stanley Robinson was their 4th best player, maybe. Like he would have been the best player on the last 5 teams.
Ooh, hell yeah, Gavin.
Oh, wow. Let's go, Gav. I mean, Stanley Robinson is what, like, junior year Stanley Robinson is what we're hoping Andre Jackson is, right? Like freshman Andre Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, he is that kind of athlete.
Feels like the most obvious comp for Jackson.
Comes the beat with 3 fouls.
Yeah, because Jackson's not really a shooter. Stanley never really developed a great 3-pointer. That was like the one thing that offensively he was missing.
He was decent at least a couple of years.
He had one good year, right?
I think he had one good year where he was like 38%, and then the rest were, It was 38% as a freshman, 41% as a sophomore. I mean, not a lot of
42%.
shots. Yeah, 42. Not a lot of attempts, but and then terrible as a junior and okay as a senior.
Oh my god.
Yikes.
There's nothing worse than when your team's struggling to inbounds the ball, and then you watch as they like can't even get somebody to the baseline to take the ball out.
Yeah.
Just leads to a whole other level of anxiety.
This was a frustrating team to play against.
Yeah. And then we had Kemba.
And a break just under 12 minutes to go. Great out of bounds.
Who are UConn's assistants in this team, in this game?
Blaney, Andre LaFleur,
Sellers. Patrick Sellers.
Yep. Cole Archibald was Dobo.
But you'll note the score, 68-51 in that game. Connecticut controlled the tempo. They have not been able to control the tempo in this game, and Missouri's got the pace going.
The only time they ever won at Louisville.
Connecticut only 2 of 14.
Oh, that's a game we should watch.
Against this Missouri defense.
That might be the best game this group of players ever played.
Louisville in early February.
And one good decision by Jim Calhoun is to put this freshman Kemba Walker in the game. How about his effort? 14, looking for 15 points.
This is making it like we watched the Florida game, and it made me just want to watch an older version of Jerome Sheffer. Like now I just want to watch older Kemba.
A lot of 2011 games to choose from.
Yeah.
Maui, Kentucky.
Yep.
That's a fun one.
I haven't rewatched the Maui game. I want to rewatch the Maui Gonzaga game though.
Oh, the 05 game? I just rewatched that.
Yeah.
Still pretty good.
I'm not surprised, Dick. I was just surprised at the margin that
That game's kind of weird because UConn doesn't play that well because they have one guard. But it's still fun.
Points against a John Calipari coach team in college. Nobody. And for Missouri to do that to Memphis was really surprising. Not that they won.
You know what game sounds like it would be fun, but it's probably horrific to watch in hindsight was the that first Ollie game in 2013 in Germany against Michigan State.
I feel like that game was really fun.
Oh yeah.
The first 10 minutes we killed them.
Yeah.
probably not fun after that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like it got really, really ugly, and we survived, and it just felt
What was
really
the final
good.
score in that game?
I think we won by 4.
Lower that right shoulder. And Justin Safford is mobile. He's a good athlete, moved his feet, and he maintained that initial guarding position.
Only the 4th team foul on Connecticut this second half. Connecticut's already in the bonus. Missouri's
66-62.
inside, and he is blocked by Robinson.
Sports ref says it was played at Harry H. Gamble Pavilion.
Another block by Robinson. He is having a party.
Pretty close.
Gamble East.
Hell yeah, sticks, by the way.
Shot fake and machines the beat. Usually
9 blocks.
doesn't leave the floor until the offensive player does.
This team was particularly good, I feel, at blocking shots just because they had so many guys. Like, having the extra guy, like having Stanley also able to do it, I feel like
And
made such a
usually-
huge difference.
And usually coming from the weak side, too.
Oh, give me a break.
And the arrow goes to Connecticut.
All refs are bad.
And this is all the more remarkable about the Missouri offense. They have 16 assists in the game and only 4 turnovers. Safford gets a hand as he goes to the bench, and Ramsey as well.
They really changed this game when they came in, both Safford and Ramsey, with their energy, their mobility. That was a big factor, and the bench has really affected UConn in the second half. It's been advantage Missouri from the bench. And UConn
Why is there an
looks
Arizona
frustrated
State logo on the court?
The officials, that's not like
They were
the
the
host
host team.
causing that frustration.
It's in Glendale. I guess that's close to...
It's funny because it's the
Or wherever.
University of Phoenix Stadium with an Arizona State logo on the court. Hit it.
From the corner.
Hit it!
Jesus.
Jeez.
Knockdown 3-point shooter.
In NCAA 08, he's like a 75 3-point shooter.
Taylor for 3.
So that might be where my misconception is coming from.
That's very possible.
Right about the ball movement, not just the ball movement, but the shot fakes and the ball fakes. Right now, UConn is going. It's
funny how that
every
works.
Shot fake, every one of them.
We've reached the midpoint of this second 20-minute period in Glendale, Arizona. Top seed, the UConn Huskies leading Missouri 54-52. That ball last touched by Thabit. Missouri goes
This entire game
the
is just
other way.
frenetic.
You can just feel the tension
In a bad way.
Yeah.
UConn's got a lead in this game, and they're the team that's frustrated.
This was a terrible quarantine pick.
Kemba Walker back in, and Jim Calhoun says that Walker's having such a surprise.
I mean, we're going to get
should've
to
gone
every
with the
game
Providence one.
by the time.
Everybody for UConn bending over at the waist right now.
All right, well, it's May 2022. I guess we're going to watch
Especially on the big
Gonna watch that Quinnipiac game.
UConn versus
Double OT.
Quinnipiac.
Yeah, once we start peppering in the OT games, you know we finally hit the wall.
Not just the full court nature of the game, it's how much ground that UConn's having to cover in half court defense.
Start measuring Russ's beard before each recording.
Off the back of the rim.
Once we get to the Tulsa AAC tournament game,
Jesus,
Oh,
Kemba.
God.
Good lord.
And Missouri just so disruptive. That was Leo Lyons
Yikes.
that reached in there.
Yikes.
Oftentimes you don't want a big guy reaching in on a guard, but that's just what
The
Missouri
hell
does.
are those cheerleader shirts? What is
Maybe we
that?
could throw in some women's basketball games.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Defense is
Or some football games.
no.
Nope.
on the season.
Hard pass.
I would watch some football games.
All right, I'll
do that
teach you
by
guys how to
myself.
record.
What, like maybe like a vintage Danny O game?
And that was why he forced
You know what?
that
I would
turnover.
watch some like classic Terry Colley.
Step down the line, and UConn with
There's some fun 2003 games where we play awful teams and beat them by 2.
Performances you've seen from
And Terry Colley usually
There are
does something
also
good.
some 2019 games like that.
Missouri doesn't turn the ball over very much.
There are 2 games
Two,
like that.
yeah, exactly two.
Yes,
Hey, we beat UMass pretty good.
in the second
we
half.
beat Wagner by how many?
3.
His second.
Go watch that
Blowout.
game.
There are actually some really great women's basketball games, especially if you go back to like the late 90s, early aughts teams. There's some
Heard at
really
the
fun
buzzer.
games in there. I was at that game.
I know you were.
That was really fun.
I mentioned this the other day, and
The bonus
Go ahead.
situation now, Anthony.
I mentioned this the other day, but like I would totally rewatch that Elite 8 game against Rutgers, which is like my 2009 Providence for the women.
Yep.
Just a very fun game that we beat a team that I hate.
There's some really fun Tennessee games. Like there are a lot of really, really good ones.
Wait, the UConn in 03 went to Wake Forest and won 51-17.
Wake Forest sucked.
I would watch that game.
Is it on?
Actually,
I
I
feel
guess
like
I
if
just
we're
assume they all are.
picking
but-
games, it's like Baylor at home,
Nice pass.
Notre
Yeah.
Dame. Like those are the
We were
football
talking
games.
about this the other day because I feel like we were very good at coming up with like a bunch of the best UConn tournament, like most iconic UConn men's basketball tournament wins. Like with the women, like there was definitively like the Tennessee game in '95 was number one, and then after that it was just sort of like what else is really like at that level?
There were actually a lot of them. I just wasn't in the conversation when you guys were having this. I knew several.
I
that
know
you
what
guys
I'm
did not come
saying.
up with.
You weren't there.
I mean, we came up with a list.
Came up with a few, but they didn't. I don't know. It didn't feel that.
It didn't
feel like a strong list to me.
Right.
There were the 2003 run was a series of really good games. Like that whole tournament run, because it was just Diana Taurasi like fucking bawling on everybody.
And the last two games were pretty tight.
Really good games. But honestly, even just from like a basketball perspective, the 2002 team was so fun to watch. Like those games were really good basketball games.
I remember that the Oklahoma championship game was really good.
It was a really good basketball game, and the semifinal was a really good
What
game
was the
too.
name of the center
Who did
on
they play in the
Oklahoma?
semis?
That was Tennessee.
Okay.
She had like
Oklahoma
kind
have
of
some
an alliterative
insane
name.
center.
Yeah,
Harris, or is that
maybe. That feels
Very
possible.
cool.
AJ Price delivering. He has 13.
Let's go,
Look at my
Kemba. I'm with you. Fired up.
And honestly, the 2014 final is pretty fun too. Steph Dolson had some like amazing fired up rebounds. They beat the shit out of Notre Dame, but it didn't feel like a blowout until the second half.
And he's such a smart and crafty player.
So that's because both teams have to start at 0.
It's true. It's true.
And yet they're still right there.
So this
I
game
was
is happening.
I was extremely hungover watching that game because I had enjoyed myself the night before watching the men's game,
Rookie in the Colonial.
and I was like really not gonna drink at all. And then my work had like bought a table at a fundraiser, and we're like, "You're coming, and here's red wine." And I was like, "Oh no." Because I'm drinking this red wine now.
It's possible I was thinking about Stacey Dales, who was very much not a center.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
she was on that team.
She was on that team, yeah.
UConn Huskies.
But yeah, that might be a fun one. The 2003 ship is a good deep cut.
Price with the ball.
Bang.
Another three. In and out.
I do really want to watch.
Mississippi violence.
Tip ahead by
I want to watch a Jen Rosati game where she like launches herself across the floor several times.
So, any Jen Rosati game?
Pretty much, yeah.
and it's a one-point game again.
The first time we played Tennessee, that home game, like it was at Gamble on Martin Luther King Day. That's also a really fun game. That game was incredible.
That was a cool one. I remember the lead up to it. There was the shitty local morning, like the 96.5 morning show. There was some lady in Tennessee they would call and talk to her about stuff, including college basketball. And like they had a bet going that if UConn won, I don't remember, she was gonna send like
That is a really difficult
some
shot.
Tennessee
And he did it so quickly.
treat.
Lofted over
And if
with
Tennessee won, they had to send her Munson's chocolates.
big time play.
Lions third.
It's funny. I was like watching the Tennessee Twitter like rewrite history about how like basically being like Pat Summitt is the reason that UConn got good because Pat put UConn on the map, which is 100% demonstrably false. Like UConn had already been to a Final Four at that point. Like there were already All-Americans on the team. Like getting that game was a big deal for women's basketball because they were already the two best teams in the country.
Yeah, they
And had
won
been for a
both
while.
times the first year they played,
Right.
including in the championship game.
But my point is UConn was already good before they played Tennessee. Before the 94-95
Well, yeah,
season,
I mean,
UConn
they
had already
could-
been to a Final Four.
But even so, like they didn't get good
His head down.
like that day.
No.
Even if that was their first year being good, it was evident at that point they'd already surpassed them, or at least
Right.
equaled them.
I've just found it to be such a bizarre, like, they are the craziest, most delusional, like, upset fan base. I feel like that's what would have happened to us if we'd stayed in the AAC. We all just, like, spun
That's
off the
what
face
had
of the
happened
earth.
to us.
Yes, meth will do that to you.
That, yeah.
Meech still can't feel joy.
It's true.
And I never will again. That's why I wanted to watch this game, so that we could feel joy again.
They also have, like, fully descended into madness, though. Like, just absolute delusional. It's crazy. It's a wild place. I'm glad Twitter did not exist in 2003. That's all I'm saying.
There we go.
There's that finishing.
But this is where he gets.
This is where it gets good. Hey, remember when there were sports on television?
No.
Honestly, no.
That was decades ago.
I miss all of the sports.
All I do is conference calls and Tiger King now. That's my life. Oh,
So many
nice
conferences.
What a pass. Finish that. Let's go.
Yeah.
Big man.
God.
Meech, crush your beer can on your forehead.
Meech, we got to watch more games together, man.
We got nothing but time. So.
I love how Kemba is just insanely fired up after every good play, too. Like, at some point, it turned into
Kemba,
Fourth foul, so he takes
What?
a seat. As the
I'm going to jump off until after the under 4 because my AirPods are going to die.
Okay.
Change your headphones and then just refresh your screen. If you get booted
Or
out.
else we'll be joined by Daft Punk for the next 4 minutes.
is Kemba the top intangibles player in UConn history?
What do you mean? I need more information.
Of the UConn men's basketball players, like going beyond just like a guy's skills, is he the guy who brings the most to the table in terms of like leadership and effort and attitude, work ethic?
I think I'd go Baz above him.
Me too.
I think, yeah, I mean, they're probably like 1 and 1A.
Yeah, it's close, but I think I'd give Baz just by a little bit.
You know, Christian Patel might make that list. I gotta say. Certainly in the effort.
Physical team as well. They can create some mismatches for Pittsburgh. That's going to be a great game. Both coaches couldn't be better.
I think the leadership aspect of it
That's
is important, and that's
He got there in the end. He got there in the end. I really wish he had gotten 4 years with Dan Hurley. I really do.
It's hard to tell
or
because
4 years with Jim Calhoun.
Either one.
it's a lot more
Either one
obvious
would've been
the
fine.
effects your leadership has when you're also the best player on the court. So, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
But he seemed to like be really building up the freshmen this year, particularly Book Knight. Like, I feel like he did a lot to like get those guys, you know, integrated into the team, feeling part of the team, you know, celebrating them when they were doing well. I would have liked to see what he could have done with the AAC tournament. Because he was going to win the AAC tournament, guys.
Such a good fucking rebound.
We're saying, like, maybe Albert Mooring was a great leader, but who's to say because he was on the court for like 10 minutes a game, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not sure we'll ever.
Albert Mooring?
That was the first name that came into my head.
Didn't he play like 30 minutes a game this junior season?
Eventually, yeah.
Khalid probably, I think, also we have to include in this discussion.
Yeah.
Because if you look at how much
Terrible suit.
this... Yeah. God,
Oh,
that's hideous.
God. They're both bad suits.
Bad. Like how much the sort of like vibe of the team changed when Khalid got there, and like as a freshman was like immediately the leader of the team.
Because he was 26 years old.
Well, yeah. He was only 19 though, wasn't he?
I remember he had like 3 kids.
He did have a couple of kids, I'm pretty sure.
Step back. Oh.
But I feel like he immediately imbued his whole like Khalid swag into the 98, 99 teams. Like immediately. Like they really took
get
on
the ball in
his.
bounds. I'm so mad right now.
Missouri's ball when we come back. The Tigers trail.
You know, after watching that last game where everybody is like a ludicrously good passer from every position on the floor.
That is probably the deficiency of this team.
Let it go. It bounced on the end line. That is a turnover, and he went to catch
This is also probably a uniquely
That's a
bad
turnover.
game
You have got to be
to
strong
evaluate
with the
that
ball. Even
skill
when you're
with this
in
team.
bounds,
That's really true, yeah.
Missouri pressure. That was a mistake by a senior and a big one.
17th turnover, and it gives Missouri down by 6. Another opportunity. Tiller pulls up. The lead is 4. 67-63 UConn. Plenty of time. And a foul in the backcourt.
So yeah, 21-year-old me at this point is dying.
With his 4th foul.
Have
Really,
you vomited at this point, or did that come later?
not quite, but I think I'm mostly comatose. Like people are saying, you know, it's gonna be okay, and we're gonna win, and I am
Meech is just beaching all over the place.
I am just constant meeching.
Peak pessimism.
Because like I feel good. We were up 8 a minute ago. We're gonna win. We're definitely gonna win. But there's just that little piece of shit neuron in my head that's like, not again.
Rattles that one in.
Don't worry. Here comes
Everything's
Greg.
gonna be great.
2 UConn from the line. Missouri 10 less free throws made.
It is nice to watch a game that keeps the score bug on.
Yeah, it's so clutch now.
When did that happen, you think?
It was
Early
when
2000s?
Fox got the NFL. Fox got the NFL in like '94, and they had the clock on all the time.
Yeah, I feel like
And
it
then-
wasn't that long after the game that we watched that it was always up.
I don't know. Was it on
It was
screen the
in-
whole time in '99? I feel like it wasn't.
I didn't think.
Yeah, it was.
I was going to say later than that. I was going to say like early
think?
2000s.
Because the '97 championship game was on CBS the other day, and it was there. So I want to say like '96, '97.
Did Stanley just tip that in?
He's so athletic, and anytime you go for a block shot like Hashim Thabit did, that opens up the offensive glass. Safford took advantage of it.
It was funny because I was thinking about that when we were watching the last game, that like when you watch those games you had to keep track of the point differential as you were going, like, okay, we're up by 2 now we're down by 3. Like I never knew what the actual score was, but I knew like, oh, what, you know, who was up by
And
what.
sometimes you'd make a mistake and the score would come up and you'd be like, oh shit.
Especially
Oh, I
those
thought
UConn teams that would go on those crazy runs all the time.
Yeah.
It was like the game would feel kind of close, and they'd go on a nice run and be like, okay, and then the scoreboard would pop up, and they'd be like, up by 12, and they'd be like, oh shit.
Get yourself out of trouble. And that arrow, very important as well, going Missouri's way. So if they can get a tie-up, that's a turnover.
One possession game at 68-65.
It's Kemba time, folks.
Thabit hadn't he just left the lane. He was in there a long
I'm trying to think if I've ever been more nervous than these last like 4 minutes watching a UConn game. Maybe the last 4 minutes of the Kentucky game. That should have been a foul, but okay. God damn.
God damn.
Kemba, come on.
He is playing like he's on the playgrounds of the Bronx. He has been New York City tough.
New York City tough.
Safford inside with a
Doesn't that feel a little bit racist?
A little bit.
Yes, a little bit.
announcing his talent as well.
But also, how the hell do you describe that fucking play?
You know, I think there is something to that of like kids in the playground aren't getting their fouls called. Like, you know, it's you're not gonna be like, oh, he fouled me. Oh, hey, Russ is back.
You know
Hi,
what?
Russ.
You might have on that play. He got pretty busted.
Yeah, he
up.
did.
Terrific in this second half with his energy.
Russ, welcome back. We missed you.
Thanks. That was very strange because my camera was on and I could see myself, but I couldn't see any of you.
Oh, weird. Well, you're back just in
What
time.
the fuck was that pass?
Hey, while I was gone, did you talk about the game at all?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Who could be
We're
certain?
talking about the game.
I expressed my deepest fears and anxieties to the half dozen people that are listening,
That was gorgeous.
as you do.
That's what I'm talking about. Price is all just like blocky toughness.
Pretty well defended by Marcus Demon. He stayed in front of him, didn't let him get
Even that one like famous kind of step back he has, I feel like it's not very smooth. Is that Marquette?
No.
Yeah, that's another game for my upcoming podcast. The 2008-2009 UConn team was the best team of all time.
Did you know that?
Did you know in 2009?
Classic Kemba.
But for an injury, the UConn men's and women's basketball teams would have.
46-1 from the Bronx. No wonder McDonald's All-America last year. Well, he has really stepped forward in this ball game.
So this team did not win the Big East regular season title, and they did not win the conference tournament. They did not win a national championship, but they did win it. They did make it to a Final Four. Mm-hmm. Where does that rank among those four accomplishments?
He does fight from the opening tap until the final buzzer.
What do you mean? Like making it to a Final Four?
Obviously, winning a national championship is the best. Is number one. That's like the best single thing you can have a team do in a given year.
Yeah.
Making a Final Four is also a thing that people count and pay attention to.
Sure.
Regular season conference titles and conference tournament titles. So how would you rank those three things? I guess conference tournament titles, conference regular season titles, and Final Four appearances.
I put Final Four right below national championship.
Yeah,
I'd put it above any conference thing.
He's 6 for 7 from the line. If he makes this one, it will equal his high.
Who won
Like
those
I would
year?
say it was 16-2.
I feel like the gap between national championship and Final Four is bigger for me than Final Four to winning the Big East tournament.
By the Huskies.
It was Louisville.
Winning the Big East tournament, yeah.
Winning the AAC tournament, I don't give a shit about.
That's the thing. Like the 2016 team won the AAC tournament, and I put that nowhere even close to the accomplishment of going to this Final Four.
But I would also
mean
say
for a team at this team that would have won the Big East in 2009.
Yeah, to me,
regular season or
winning the
tournament
Big East tournament, the 2011 Big East tournament, I think is a bigger deal than this is.
Yes,
Would it have been though
would-
if the Kemba team had lost in the Sweet 16? Would we remember that?
Yes,
As fondly
100%
as we
yes. Yes.
I'm not sure.
I would not trade
No.
this game for the 2009 Big East championship.
Robinson, brilliant defensively.
Right.
I agree with that.
Walker, averaging 8.
Well, I think the thing about obviously the 2011 tournament is that it was an accomplishment no one else has ever done. The 5 games in 5 days thing. So yeah, I think you would remember them that fondly, at least.
I will just say that winning the 2009 Big East tournament would have meant winning the 6 overtime game.
Yeah.
Jim Calhoun has had for years. I don't know what's
I would have liked that.
See, I
it
have
would
a hard
be
time
nice
not-
now to have won that game, given how much people talk about it.
If this team made the Elite 8, I wouldn't feel, but won the Big East tournament, I would like that more. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's the 02 team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think the 02 team or 09 team is considered a better team?
This is the anxiety game
I
of
think
all anxiety
if
games.
2011 had lost to Bucknell in the first game of the tournament, I don't think we would talk about it
Well,
the same
that's
way we
different.
talk about 2009.
I think we've never had a bad team or a mediocre team win a conference tournament.
No.
That's
No.
so that I think
16.
that
That was mediocre, I think.
yeah, but who cares?
Yeah.
about the
I don't think that team was mediocre.
don't think that team was
I think
mediocre
that was a
either.
very talented team that didn't play as well as they should have.
In the
most
course of
season.
UConn teams, they're mediocre to me.
Well, in the course of UConn tournament championships, the AAC one was mediocre too.
Yeah, I feel like we can't
it was
really compare
last.
AAC and Big East tournament championships because they're completely different animals. Because I could not
one
give
is
a
an animal.
single fuck about an AAC tournament championship, but I care deeply about Big East tournament championships.
Does Craig make these?
I'm going to care a lot when they win the 2021 Big East tournament.
Oh, you mean with
When it's played in 2023?
Book night?
Yeah. Whenever the next Big East tournament is.
So we're playing basketball next year. I'm not letting you do this to me. Not in my quarantine. I need to believe that I will have college basketball next year. I'm not getting March Madness. I'm not getting Wimbledon. I'm not getting the Olympics for another year.
Wimbledon, no Olympics, no Euro.
I am
There you
getting
go, Craig.
college basketball.
This was supposed to be such a
Fucking
good summer.
November. Don't play with me.
Craig Austria is coming up with
Obviously,
fucking ice
just to
water.
be clear, that's not as important
Rebound. Come on, Thabit.
You know.
Jesus.
as everyone being healthy.
Everyone being healthy. I'm just saying
It's just another thing I'm sad about.
that I need to not be in quarantine for a year.
Stay in your fucking houses, people.
My house is filthy because I never leave it. I just create more mess here.
Yeah, my wife wanted to play a game tonight, and instead, I'm doing this so that people will have something to listen to while they socially distance responsibly.
This is public service, and you're welcome.
Eat at J. Tim's when they reopen.
Right.
Which is not current now.
Yeah, don't go there now.
Buy a gift card.
Buy a gift card.
If you do
can.
order from someone, tip irresponsibly.
How should people tip?
Should
Megan?
tip irresponsibly?
Yes, as in throw wads of cash at people.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
What kind of irresponsible?
For
Yes.
who are, who knows who's listening to this.
Villanova, #1 in Pittsburgh. That'll assure a Big East representative in the Final Four.
You guys think Craig Austria is going to listen to this?
UConn be the second.
For sure.
Hope so. We love you, Craig. All of us.
Equally.
Nope.
You are a comfy sweater.
Before Zaire Taylor.
Peter, I feel like we got to get you the comfy sweater that Chris Smith was wearing at the.
Almost needed a
We got to find that sweater.
As hell.
not the foul to stop
It was like a
the
very
clock.
comfy cardigan.
AJ Price to the other end.
We got to track that down. Chris Smith, if you're listening, where did you get that sweater?
He might be
From the
listening.
line
What
today,
up, Chris?
looking for his 17th point.
We should watch a vintage
20 in the
Chris
first
Smith
three
game
games
from like
of this NCAA
1992.
tournament.
Well, Megan wanted to watch the Gamble opening. Was Chris Smith in
The
that?
Gamble opener or the I'm kind of leaning. I feel like the '90 Big East championship game would be fun as hell.
AJ Price has been through.
All right, we're gonna have to pre-screen some of these videos to make sure they're watchable.
Yeah.
He has battled through every one of them to make it to this point. Just on the
I feel like
threshold of
those
the
games
Final
should be
Four.
okay though. Like,
Talking
it's
with
not like they hadn't been airing basketball games for a long time by 1990.
They're pretty ugly if you go back and watch them. Because, for one thing, putting like that, that signal on a high-def screen always makes it look a little uglier.
Well, yeah.
But like it's also like they're pulling it off of someone's VHS that they recorded off the TV.
Yeah, if we had access to the original, like CBS reel to reel, it'd probably be okay.
With this Missouri program to be right on the cusp of a Final
Ugh.
Four. They've done an extraordinary job.
I hope they've
I
all
think
like
I was probably
digitized all
okay
that
by
stuff.
now, but that 3 is still annoying. And the
I was-
commercials,
I was
I was
still considering-
probably running late for my date.
I was still considering worst case scenarios at this point.
Then we get Reggie Millard here.
Yeah, like what if we turn the ball over on the inbounds, which we've done a bunch of times.
So close to going to the Final Four.
What if
What
God
if a
hates me?
pandemic breaks out and they never finish the game?
Luckily, that'll never happen.
Switch every screen, face guard, but they do have
I know this isn't relevant, but if they cancel the EPL season and don't award the title to Liverpool, Alex is going to kill himself.
possession when it was around 24 seconds, 23 seconds, got all the way
As long
down
as
to
the
18.
beautiful Aston Villa Football Club remain in the top flight,
At least you
I'm
have
good
an
with it.
opportunity. I mean, stranger things have happened.
I want Alex to remain alive. Let's make that clear.
Certainly, it's advantage Connecticut.
Noted.
Point lead and the best free
Alex
throw
is a beautiful
shooter on
boy.
the Husky squad
Craig gonna
at the
come
line.
up
He's looking
clutch
for
again?
a 6th point, 2 for 2.
Of course he
Who
is.
could
It's
say?
Craig
At
Austria.
the charity.
I mean, comfortable sweaters do not miss key free throws.
That's right.
Craig Austria is like that utility infielder. that can
I swear to
play
God, I thought he was about to say comfy sweater.
He can guard just about anybody on the perimeter. He's usually really good poise.
He's a utility infielder of a sweater.
Didn't against this Missouri pressure, but I think Jim Calhoun described him earlier this year to me as a comfortable sweater. He's reliable. I know what I'm going to
Yeah!
What?
What? What? Meech,
All
did
right.
you pre-screen this?
I've probably watched this.
Did you just
And at least the
internalize
ending.
that?
Point shooters, but the clock the enemy of the Tigers.
I believe what Jay Bills tells me.
Taylor with 3.
All right, we're going to shut this broadcast down as soon as this tape ends. So congrats to you kind of making the 2009 Final Four.
This made me so happy.
Congrats, Meech.
I
We
can't
got
even
through
tell
this
you.
game against all odds.
Honestly, there's way more entertaining games, but this one at least, this is the most meaningful game that this group of guys played.
What up, Dove?
So I'm happy we spotlighted it a little bit. Also, like I've forgotten like big win. Like no one ever talks about this win.
That's true. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening to the A Dime Back Retrocast.
Would you want to see if they just cut to 2 random other announcers first?
Sure, but I'm cutting it off in 2 seconds, so bye.